Hi everybody and welcome to this week's episode of the A-Slut podcast. That of course stands for Advice, Sex, Love, Understanding and Trust. We talk about all things sexual, relationship-wise, polyamorous, alternative lifestyles, swinging, kink, all sorts of that fun stuff. And if you ever want to get in touch with the show, you can do so by DMing into the Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all at the A-Slut podcast. You're always welcome to do that. You can always email the show at the aslutpodcast@gmail.com. I always love hearing from you guys, so let's get into it. Welcome everybody to a short episode of the A-Slut podcast. I'm on Facebook Live doing this as well. So I needed to have this sort of brief chat because I fucked up, basically. I made a mistake with somebody that I care about deeply, and it's not okay. I put in the title of the Facebook Live bit that I broke somebody that I care about. I really broke their trust and essentially their consent as well. Thankfully it wasn't sexual consent or anything like that. I didn't assault anyone, so there's no need to worry about that. But what I did do wasn't too much nicer either. Just over a month ago, I did another Facebook Live like I am now, and it was around consent again. It is something that I'm passionate about, is consent. It's something that I care a shit ton about in how we treat our fellow humans and whatnot. And I told a couple of stories while I was doing that episode as well. So those stories were quite near and dear to me. They happened to people that were quite close to me. Where my breach has come in, and where what I've done has come into it all, is that I didn't actually have permission to share one of those stories. So what that means is I was told something in confidence. I was told something in private from somebody, and I made the mistake of assuming that it was okay to share the details. I'm not going to say the person's name. I didn't in the original episode. In the original video, I will be doing a re-upload of the consent part of it onto my podcast when I get the chance, and it'll be a different one, but it won't be the same stories as part of that. But I told somebody's essentially their assault story, their sexual assault story, without having permission to. And what this basically did is it re-victimized that person and made them go through again what had already happened to them, which is really not a nice thing to have to do. And I've spent the last month on trying to figure out how to say this without seeming as though I'm after pity or anything like that, or there's any sort of self-pity. I've hurt another person by doing this, and it's something that I really don't like doing. I don't like hurting other people. So I have absolutely apologized to them, but I also needed to say publicly that I did fuck up, okay? And that I did make a mistake in this instance. And it's something that I've learned from it, and I'll continue to learn. Now, the danger, I wanted to talk about the dangers that stuff like this can actually bring on. And one of the major ones is that anybody else who's heard part of the story could actually pick up on who I was talking about and the person's story that it was. And the problem with that person, those details being out there in the public for somebody else to potentially pick up, is that the person that this happened to might not have wanted these other people or this other person to know about what had happened to them. So it's that can become quite dangerous and quite saddening to somebody as well. So, and quite dangerous as well if the wrong person picked up on it. If it was, the person who did it even happened to be watching or listening to my podcast and they knew exactly what I was talking about, and they'd gone to my friend and hit them up about it, could have gone into a completely different direction, which is really, really, really worrying if it had gone the wrong way, to be honest, guys. So, if you get told something in confidence about, about sexual assault or something that's happened, never assume that you can tell other people. It's the same as keeping a secret or anything like that. Like I said, I didn't use names or anything like that, but that doesn't matter. It really, really doesn't. What matters is that you got told something in confidence, and you should be keeping that to yourself, really. I haven't talked to this person for a while because I've felt ashamed. I've preached this message of consent, culture, and trust and all of this sort of stuff, and then I've just gone and sort of fucked it all up myself and not followed my own message. So it's been quite conflicting for me. It's not been fun. But in saying that, it's nothing on what my friend whose story I told was feeling at the time. That feeling of betrayal, that feeling of being worried, of being afraid that the person might come after them about it is a position that I wouldn't wish upon anyone, really. But look, I did it, and I thought that the sort of best thing to do in this sort of situation was come out and do that on the same medium that I made the mistake, to apologise for what I did, apologise for giving out details that weren't mine to give out, for telling a story that wasn't mine to tell, for breaking the trust and the consent of somebody that I know, and not just know, but have deeply cared for a fair while now. It's it's one of those things where I've had to work through how I'm feeling about it, obviously, and how I've made this other person feel about it as well. And it's not a nice one. It's just one of those things where I have to hold my hands up and say, I'm sorry, I fucked up, and hopefully sort of move on from it. So that's sort of my story around what happened there. It's one of those things where you've got to be really, really careful, I think. And I wasn't in this situation, but I do hope that those who see this, those that listen to this, will hopefully think about how they react to these sorts of things in the future. I know I definitely will. It's not something that I'm going to repeat anytime soon, that's for sure. But yeah, guys, just be uber careful when you're talking about other people's stuff. I will see you guys soon. For those on Facebook Live, I'm going to be doing a full episode quite soon, around the science behind love itself. So I'll talk to you guys soon about that. But yeah, see you soon.